Welcome back to Been There, Watched That. Dave, Joe, myself, Justin, your favorite movie TV reviewers. Last time we had a pretty terrible pick, The General from 1926.
Oh, jeez.
A certified stinker, but this week Dave has come in to lift all our spirits with the 1985 film Vision Quest.
Hopefully.
You know, one of us here has to do the heavy lifting and carry some good movies. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, hopefully Dave's going to pull us out of the rut. We don't know yet. We've not discussed this.
We know.
Yeah,
Dave has
was,
nothing but good picks. And yes, I just talked in the third
The
person.
all-time classic comedies, according to some.
Jeez.
Which included people just walking around in silence, bonking their heads on things.
Exactly. Let me humble Dave before he breaks his arm, patting himself on the back. 3 words, Mad Max 2.
That wasn't my pick. That was Justin's pick.
No. I'm not putting that on Justin's doorstep. I will not let him take a sword on that one.
I'm putting it on his doorstep.
Now, I will let him fall on the sword on Mad Max, but Mad Max 2 is all you, buddy.
No. Anyway,
it's
Vision Quest.
A speedy episode.
Yeah, Vision Quest.
We've got a time crunch today, so Joe's going to jump right in with a little
fill us in with the synopsis.
All right, so the synopsis is Vision Quest is a coming-of-age movie in which high school wrestler Loudon Swain decides he wants to be something more than an average high school athlete and sets his sights on a prize that many don't think he can win. He then sets out to reach his goal alone without much support of his father or coach. His father rents a room to a young drifter, Carlo. Swain falls in love with her, and she helps him stay focused and prevents him from losing sight of his goals.
Yeah, so a lot of stories wrapped into one.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah.
You thought it was just one little thing, and then it kind of...
Yeah, extrapolated out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. That's why I like it. This is one of my all-time favorites.
I started this one about 9 p.m. last night, and checked the runtime. Was glad to see it was like an hour and 30, something around that. But then once I got into it, I'm like, yeah, this could be 2 hours. I'd be all right with that too. I left being entertained and I dare say a little bit inspired. Yeah. Some cool montage scenes of him working out and trying to get to his goal of to beat this the shoot guy that is like infamous and everyone's afraid of. He's like the local baddest wrestler at 168 pounds. And that's his whole thing. Throughout the movie, he's dropping weight like crazy.
Yeah. Local beast.
He's trying to get down to that lower weight class, which is difficult. He's getting nosebleeds and passing out and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, there was a couple twists and turns in the movies that led you to believe like it was going to go down a completely different path. So there was a couple twists and turns along the way that kind of kept you intrigued.
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting because he's a farm boy that moves into the city, the big city from Montana, and
that farm got repossessed or some sort of
his parents got divorced and just went downhill from there, and so they live in an old beat up house with his dad, and his dad's a car mechanic, and they're just getting by. And the coach at one point says, "Hey, listen, when I first met you last year, you had hay in your hair, and you got a shot to being a good wrestler." And the coach tries to talk him, which this is the only weird part that I found, is that the coach tells him, "No, you go back to your weight, and that's where you need to be, and you'll be a state champion. Stop this silliness." And he goes in and climbs up a pegboard, and all the coach is like, "All right, fine, you win." That seemed kind of silly because the coach makes the final decision. I don't know what climbing a pegboard has to do with.
His teammate too was like giving him guff, like saying, "You're not a team player. Like, what are you doing?" But then he climbs a pegboard, and now that guy is his
They're
fan
all on
now
board.
too.
Yeah. So the pegboard apparently is super important.
Yeah. Back in the '80s, that was it.
And what I found interesting was at the beginning when he and Cush get into that argument, I thought, okay, they're bitter enemies, and then you go a couple minutes and you find out like, oh no, they're best of buds. I found that really weird because I thought, okay, there's going to be an issue with those two right off, and I was like, oh no, they're
kind of squaring up, showing.
Well, Cooch was holding, the facade of being a tough guy, which he really wasn't.
Right.
His home life sucked, and
Cooch, like that kind of ties into the whole Vision Quest, Native American type of thing. Because Cooch, at one point, he's claiming he's half Native American, but then later on we find out he's like, I just made that up. That's kind of like a thing I'm doing.
Trying to develop an identity. Like, which, I mean, I don't know. It's weird enough as it is. I had that conversation with my own kids, and with a couple of our college buddies. Like, you move to somewhere else. You can be whoever you want to be. I had a friend from here, from Spencer, West Virginia, that went to college, and he came back for a break, and he had on a long trench coat and a cowboy hat and cowboy boots. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm a cowboy. was like, from West Virginia? He's like, yeah, they don't know that. All they know is that, I'm from West Virginia and I'm a cowboy. And he essentially just reinvented himself. And I was like, man, yeah, you can be anybody you want because you're around all new people. So, Cooch did the same thing. He's like, hey, I'm going to be, my niche is going to be, Native American, and here we go. I'm going to roll with this theme, and that's who I'm going to be. Leather jacket, rode around on a street bike, and, had the mohawk. And
Yep.
Now, I have one small issue with Cooch's dad.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't sell me as, like, the quote-unquote bad dad, the
abusive father deal.
Yeah, I couldn't buy him as an abusive father. Now, when we watched American Beauty and Chris Cooper was abusive dad, he sold that all day long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a small scene where you just see his dad, and it's just that scene where he's slapping him, and
But still, I mean, even that,
That's what I mean. I think it was just hey, we got to throw this in there to give Cooch, a little background.
Right, but still, I mean, it was kind of a hard sell for me.
Was his dad the same guy, the cook in the kitchen?
No.
Okay.
His dad he just had that 1 20-second deal.
Okay.
And he was the guy from baseball movie, Major League.
Yeah, Major League 1 and 2.
Manager,
James Gammon.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree with you, Joe. That was a little bit of a weak point. But the rest of the movie, so a couple interesting things. Matthew Modine, which this is crazy. They do this all the time. He was like 24 when they made this movie. Nowhere near high school age.
Yeah.
But as were all the actors and actresses. But Madonna, this is her first appearance in anything where she sang two of her songs. Kind of got her on the map.
She's in the club playing with her band.
Yep.
Singing.
Yeah, and here's the thing. A lot of people don't know this, and I didn't know this. Of course, I'd never heard of Vision Quest itself. But, internationally, to help piggyback off of Madonna's celebrity, they changed the name of the movie to Crazy for You.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Did not know that.
Like
I'm a big fan.
If you go to Australia, it's not called Vision Quest. It's called Crazy for You. And it's really weird how Madonna has just a very small scene in this movie, but yet there was areas in the world that they used that as the selling point.
Yeah.
Tell you how popular Madonna was at this time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that got her on the map, and bam, she took off.
Yeah.
So, interesting story. He had to drive forever to go see his grandpa.
Okay. Trivia.
Yeah.
Grandpa, played by Robert Blossom.
Yeah.
What other movie have we reviewed that he's played on?
All right, I got to
Home Alone.
Yep.
He's the old guy in the park.
Old Man Marley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was also in Escape from Alcatraz.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of like actors, where are they now, or what else did they do? The only guy I recognized was Forrest Whitaker, and then the old guy. I didn't know where I'd seen him from.
Come on now.
But
Cooch is Jake Ryan, or not Jake Ryan, but Jake from 16 Candles.
I have never seen that one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, are you not a John Hughes fan? What do you got going on?
I've not seen 16 Candles. I've seen
what?
That's one of them I have not seen.
Oh.
And I've seen Breakfast Club. I mean, I've seen a lot of the hits, but 16 Candles is one I have not seen.
How do you not see 16 Candles? That's an American staple.
I know. Well, that's one of the few.
I'm going to write it on my list.
Yeah, so you want me to go through a quick, short cast list?
Sure.
So Matthew Modine played Loudon, and he's also played in Full Metal Jacket and Dark Knight Rises. Linda Fiorentino played Carla. She was in Men in Black.
Yep.
And we covered Cooch. Ronnie Cox played Loudon's dad. He was in Total Recall, Beverly Hills Cop, Deliverance, and RoboCop.
Yep.
J.C. Quinn played Elmo. He was in Days of Thunder. Daphne Zuniga played Margie Epstein. She was in Spaceballs and Melrose Place. And Raphael Sabarge played Schmoozler. He was in Risky Business.
What about the teacher, Harold Sylvester?
Harold Sylvester?
Like the English teacher that...
I don't know. I saw, and Shoot, the wrestler guy, he actually wrestled for the Marines or somebody as well. Yeah, he wrestled for the Marines. Frank Jasper.
I also seen in the trivia that 1996 Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle said this is his all-time favorite wrestling movie.
Yeah, that's something I came away with, was that, sometimes sports movies, they don't do a great job of like making it seem realistic that the actors are actually athletic and are as good as they're being portrayed. But I thought this, I mean, you would know better than me, Dave, whether or not the wrestling scenes seemed realistic, but to me it seemed pretty
they
good.
did a casting call and they got a lot of state champions and real wrestlers to come in as the extras.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, it didn't seem staged, because a lot, like the final climactic scene is him wrestling this shoot guy, and maybe a little bit here and there it seemed like when they're flipping him, maybe the guy helped him off the ground a little bit.
Right.
But,
Now I'm with you, Justin. I'm not. I'm nowhere near as an expert in wrestling. I did read in the trivia that there was some minor things that they've gotten mixed up, like the collar wristbands the referee was wearing, he had them backwards. Stuff like Justin and I wouldn't noticed. But Dave, you being a high school wrestler, you would have caught that.
Some of that, but I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter which arm your wristbands are on. It's just for collar coding. And the referees generally go with the same wrist all the time. So theirs may be backwards. It doesn't have to be like that side or that side. They just automatically know red and green is on which wrist.
So it's not a huge plot spoiler.
No, it's not, because the mat can be turned either way. Okay. You know what I mean? They're in this is the left side or right side.
Okay.
So those could always switch, and usually the ref assigns like the home team one side or the other. Home team's always going to be green.
Okay.
And they always know like green's on their left wrist, so it doesn't really matter what side the home team's on to them.
Okay.
But yeah, not a big deal.
I thought it was shot well, like a lot of cool far away scenes. Like zoomed out where he's running, training, and then just
like running across the bridge, the iconic scene.
They kept it moving with a lot of different camera angles up close, obviously, and then they'll show like the whole wrestling room and the whole team is there, and all the extras seemed, people that didn't have any speaking role, they seemed realistic and they weren't distracting or anything. I thought overall, like a lot of great shots.
I feel like it did a pretty good job. The wrestling room was realistic. And she came in, she said, "Oh, it smells like sweat in there, and crap." It's like, yep, welcome to a wrestling room.
I thought the coach was good too. He's amusing and.
The only thing I thought was a little over the top was the coach wearing a singlet.
Right.
Coaches usually don't wear singlets. And and he had on like knee pads and wrestling shoes. Coaches wear wrestling shoes, but usually just shorts and t-shirt because
Yeah.
But I mean that's just usually, but you never know. I mean back in the 80s maybe there was somewhere.
So one of the big parts of the story is this 21-year-old girl who ends up she's passing through town on her way to California, but then her car breaks down. There's a whole thing where Loudon's dad confronts the guy who sold her the lemon, then she ends up staying with them at their house. So there's like this sexual tension because he's a high school kid, and here's this 21-year-old girl living with him now.
Yeah.
But yet, I found it interesting. Like they said in about the middle of the movie that her car's fixed, but yet she still keeps sticking around.
Yeah, she was working and making money. So
saving up money for
a trip.
Since she blew all her money on a
lemon car. I do like, so I've always been enthralled with like the quotes, and he turned, like it starts off, "My name's Loudon Swain, last week I turned 18, wasn't ready for it, I haven't done anything yet, so I made this deal with myself, this year I make my mark." It's kind of that do something special with your life, because and at some point in there he said because he gives a little monologue to somebody, I can't remember who. He says, people who deserve it, like there's no tomorrow, because when you get right down to it, there is no tomorrow. And that's used a lot in sports. Like, hey, leave it all out on the field, whatever quote you might want to throw in there, but it's all about make the most of your time because you can't get it back.
Right.
And I think that's a pretty big deal. That mentality gets lost in people, I think. So it's nice to see a movie that kind of represents that idea of, make the most of the time you got because, you can't get any back.
Right.
Did you end up watching the whole thing with Kale, Dave?
No. He with his practices and stuff, we didn't get time to finish it, but we will.
Mm-hmm.
So, could you get a read on him so far in?
He liked it, yeah. I mean, he's in his junior year of high school sports, so he's enthralled by it. He's like, all right, yeah, I understand. I thought he followed the plot and was like, yep, makes sense.
Well, I like that it was like kind of almost over the top 80s in certain areas, like it was entertaining, just that there wasn't corny or anything, but it was definitely set in its time of the 80s. And
I think there's a lot of little hidden gems. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when he goes into Mr. Tanneran and he's shooting basketball And he's like, hey, after the whole Tai Chi scene in the hotel, he's like, hey, have you ever done any Tai Chi?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah, He's like, yeah, how could 800 million people be wrong? And Mr. Tanneran's like, oh, they often are.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, yeah, the mob mentality is, often wrong.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a neat little hidden gem of,
Yeah, I did not see
wisdom.
that whole hotel room Tai Chi thing.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That was weird.
That guy did a good job selling that.
Yeah.
He looked just straight enough to be, okay, this is a professional guy, but then
at first I thought, this guy's
makes his move.
Cool, he's zen, he's doing Tai Chi.
Yeah.
Hotel room, then he basically tries to hit on Loudon and get him to come back to the room later. And like, whoa, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, so a neat little tidbit. And I like how they arm wrestle. He arm wrestles with the cook. And I like how the cook's kind of got that no-nonsense deal. He's like, just put the hamburger to eat it and eat it like a regular person. Just kind of those deals. Trying to take care of Loudon. And,
yeah, I have to say, when we start seeing the nosebleeds and Loudon's health being affected by him losing weight, I honestly didn't think he was going to make it to the end of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, in all reality, though, that's every wrestler, not every wrestler, but that's most wrestlers. Back in the day, it was tough. There wasn't any, now there's a regulation, like you have to sign off a form and you can't go below 2 weight classes where you're at. It's a whole fiasco, but I mean, back in my day of wrestling, you wore a trash bag, you sweated your butt off. It wasn't anything unusual for wrestlers to just run themselves in the ground and pass out and,
Yeah.
So that
he
realistic
food
part.
all throughout the movie, but he couldn't eat any. He's like, oh yeah, I'm starving, but I can't eat.
Yeah,
It's just like
I mean,
500 calories a day or whatever. He was
yeah,
doing.
and working out like a madman. I mean, that's, I was on 2 state championship wrestling teams, and that's how it is. You chew ice chips, you pass up on food, and you starve yourself and work out like crazy. That's why I was kind of enthralled. I really like the, where he's jumping rope by himself under the spotlight in the gym, the auxiliary gym. Now that does not happen. But man, what a cool movie poster.
Yes.
Of him jumping rope, looking up, and the spotlight shining on him.
Right.
And like I said, that doesn't happen. They don't have gyms where there's only just one spotlight. But man, what a cool, iconic shot.
Yeah.
Him training combined with the soundtrack of this definitely got me a little like, all
Yeah.
right, I need to go for a run tomorrow.
Yeah. A little inspiring, yeah. Like where he's running across the bridge. And Matthew Modine's a big guy, and he's athletic. He had a good pace, a good running gait, so he sold it as an athlete.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like sometimes they have movies and the people are like,
Running full speed.
yeah, Hunger Games. I was like, I like Jennifer Lawrence, but she's not an athlete.
They show her like as if she's doing a 10-mile run and she's running it at a pace that no one could possibly run.
Yeah.
Keep
To
that
make her
wrong.
look like
But, I bought Matthew Modine as an
Yeah.
athlete and as a wrestler.
Yeah. And his whole role throughout the whole movie, I thought he really brought you in, and I mean, he's the center of the whole movie and did a great job.
Yeah, I thought he was an excellent choice.
Didn't come across to me as that he couldn't sell the high school kid look either. Seemed like he looked,
he dressed.
the way he carried himself was a little.
Yeah, he dressed like a sloppy high school kid. Baggy khakis that weren't really khakis, but just old pants and old shoes and button-up shirts.
Yeah.
Old military backpack type
Definitely
knapsack.
had a different look. A lot of his teammates would wear their Letterman jacket around all the time and were much more kind of
Yeah,
Yeah.
athletic.
athlete-looking guys, but he had a different look to him.
Kind of the groups, and I think that sold him as an outcast because he was doing his own thing.
Do you like the soundtrack, Joe?
It wasn't bad.
Definitely 80s.
Yes. Yeah, if you didn't know any better, you would think, man, they're really beating you over the head with this 80s stuff. But then it's like, time out, this is an 80s movie. So
Set in 1983, and it was set in the 80s.
And I have to say, this movie, if I didn't have to watch it, I probably wouldn't have watched it because from the appearance of it, this was kind of outside my realm of genres, movies, types of movies I normally watch.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, I'm going to rank it higher than I thought I would.
Yeah, looking at the cover, I was like, what's Dave picked? It looks like a romantic, because it's Loudon and Carla. They're just kind of hugging each other on the cover. I was like, what do we got here?
Well,
There's
and
way
when
more
you,
sports to it than
when you hear
I
Vision
realized.
Quest, I'm thinking it sounds like some kind of space movie. And then you see the movie poster of this guy and a girl, and it's going, well, that's not a space movie. And then Dave's saying, this is a sports movie. It's like, okay, Vision Quest sounds like a space movie. It has a picture of a boy and a girl. All right, Dave, are you losing it? Or?
Rotten Tomatoes, 78% audience, 57% from the critics, though. That's a little weird. That seems low to me.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Joe. It's kind of a niche movie. The original poster has, Loudon and Carlo on the front of it. It doesn't really sell it as a sports movie, but that ends up being what it is.
Yeah.
So I think if you go into, whatever the pitch is for that poster, you're like, crap, this isn't, the romantic type movie I signed up for necessarily. Because it has a ton of wrestling in it.
Yeah, because Cena watched it with me, and she said, well, no wonder you're not a huge fan of it. She said, this is more of a romance film than an action or sport film. Because she loved it.
She did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious.
And I just figured she would just dump on the whole thing. She said, no, I loved it. She said, it was a great movie. And
Really?
Going, yeah. And I'm going, really? She said, well, it's a romantic film. She said, that's why you're not a huge fan of it. I was like, well, okay, well, then that makes sense then.
Do you know what the budget was? Either of you tracked on the budget?
That is one note I forgot to grab last night. Oh, here we go. Oh, okay, so opening weekend was $2.6 million. It grossed in the U.S. Oh, wow. Yeah, that can't be right, but okay. In the U.S., it grossed $12.9 million. Worldwide gross $12.9 million.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Still not.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right.
Yeah, because it's the exact dollar amount on both. So. Yeah. But still, nice return on investment. $2 million in and $12 million out.
Yeah. What'd you guys think of Carla's character?
I thought she sold it well. I mean, she played this punky New York girl that's sassy and, I did find it interesting. Shoot, I just had an idea there. Left me. You got me thinking about something else. I'm still trying. What was the budget? Did we figure out the budget? What it cost?
What was the budget? I couldn't find the budget.
No. Yeah, I didn't see it either. So where the cook, Elmo, aptly named cook, Elmo, hotel cook. But, he lives in this small dinky apartment, and I like that he's telling him the story about Pele. Just one of those sports. I mean, who watched soccer back in the 80s?
Right.
Nobody in America.
Right.
And as this cook, Elmo's talking to him, he's like, listen, I'm going because there's this beautiful thing about sports that just everybody relates to. This is a cook that has a dead-end job, lives in an apartment, has no family or friends that he talks to, and, he's like, I flipped through the channels one night, and, I see this game, and this guy does this amazing bicycle kick, Pele. And it's just, the most incredible thing. And he's sitting there and he's crying because he got to witness this, scene of perfection.
Yeah.
And he's like, so this might be another one of those moments. So, yes, I'm dressing up in a suit and tie, and I'm going to your event.
Not going to miss it.
And I thought that was pretty poignant. Mm-hmm. And I think that talks to people, especially athletes, that play sports. That's kind of what you're looking for. You're looking for that perfect moment when it all just comes together. And they kind of reiterated that in Ford versus Ferrari, where the driver talks about, that perfect lap.
Yes.
Every driver's looking for that perfect lap.
Right.
So kind of that moment.
That came at a time when Loudon was it seemed like he was kind of questioning himself. So
yeah.
There's a little bit of a pep talk for him that this is potentially going to inspire people if you go out there and win this wrestling match.
Well, or just compete, and that was a big thing. I did like it when he and Cooch went over to see Shoot. Shoot's carrying a big log up the bleachers.
Yeah. Yes.
And he's like, "Are you gonna make weight?" And he's like, "I hope so." And he kind of looks at him and says, "Me too." That little ominous foreshadowing. Yeah. I do hope you make it.
When they go over there, he just happens to be going up some bleachers with a huge log on his back.
Like it was nothing. Yeah. It was like...
And I liked it, too, when he went to his match to scout him, and he's got his tape recorder, and he's like, all right, notes on this match. And then, Shoot comes out in 10 seconds and just flops the guy and pins him. And he's sitting there while everybody else jumps up. He's sitting there with a look of disbelief on his face. I was like, that's awesome. That's a great scene, just like, oh, my. Yeah. I just bit off way more than I can chew.
Yeah, where do I go from here?
And everybody's just dancing around him, screaming and yelling. And he's just sitting there like, set up to do this big scouting deal.
Yep.
That's all he got.
Yeah, I'm happy with this one. Kept me entertained the whole time.
All right. So are we ready to rate this?
Let's slow down. So our ranking system, explain it to us.
Okay, so we scale on 1 to 5, but we don't use the numbers. We rate on sizes of popcorn. Burnt popcorn being the absolute worst thing ever. Mad Max 2.
Oh, Mad Max 1. Thank you very much.
Okay, both.
And Howard the Duck.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we go small, medium, large, and then a nod to our local movie theater, the Roby Theater. The best rating you can get is a mop bucket size popcorn.
Oh, yeah.
So, gentlemen, where are we at on the popcorn
Oh,
scale?
overflowing mop bucket. This is my favorite. I'm like a little girl with a crush. I'm just like, oh, this has everything I like. A little bit of drama, a little bit of romance, some sports.
Yep.
You know, these poignant, high ideas and intricate thinking. You know, a guy chasing his dream. Yep, I'm in.
I'm like flirting with my first mop bucket.
Really?
Oh, what do you got to flirt with? You're an athlete, Justin. You know the deal. This had to have touched your soul and been like,
it was
anything that inspires you to go be active. Yeah, that's a mop bucket.
Now, Justin, be true to yourself.
On the fence, overflowing large or mop bucket. Give me a second to think, and Joe, you take it away.
Okay.
Oh,
so I'm gonna knock you guys down to reality.
Okay.
Oh, come on now.
I'm going medium, and here's why.
Oh boy.
You're no longer invited. Bring Scene on the show.
Okay. So, and here's why.
All right, tell me why.
This movie, like I said, if I didn't have to watch this for the show.
Hold on, if I may interrupt.
Okay.
Justin, the issue is there were no explosions.
I knew it. Because when I
that
thought,
was the deal.
when
Joe's
I
like, yeah, there's nothing blowing up. I'm out.
When I thought about my movie ranking, I was like, okay, you get ready for it. Dave's going to nail you on there was no explosions.
There's no explosions. There's no gun battles.
The cars crashed into a ravine. Or
yeah,
anything.
I mean, the most exciting thing was his dad punching the guy, and you didn't actually see it. So.
Well, and yeah, that didn't sell it for me. So, the reason I'm going with the medium, like I said, if I didn't have to watch it for the show, I probably never would have seen this movie. So my expectations going in, just based on the movie poster and the title, it was.
I think now you didn't even watch the movie. You just looked at the poster and said, "All right, I'm done."
No, it was going to be a small at best.
Oh gosh.
And then when I got into it, I was like, okay, this will be a medium. And then it got a little slow there in the middle, and then it picked me back up at the end, toward the end, when right there at the last 2 minutes, when his nose started bleeding on the mat, and you was contemplating, okay, is he going to make it, or is he going to blow a blood vessel right here in front of everybody?
Yeah.
So, okay, so I'm going to bump it up to overflowing medium.
Overflowing, okay.
Yeah.
All right, history's being made. My first mop bucket.
There we go.
I just thought Matthew Modine, right?
Yeah, Matthew Modine
did just such a good job that I think he carried the movie, and he took that extra little boost.
Yeah.
To get me from large to mop bucket.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree. Overflowing mop bucket for me, obviously. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Dave's just bathing in popcorn at this point, and Justin giving out his first mop bucket.
Yeah, and even if it's a little silly sometimes, just the pure 80s-ness of it. It wasn't poorly acted though. It was still
right.
And they had a little bit of they had aspects of everything tied in there, like the girl that has a crush on him. I like it where there's laughable moments as well. So even some comedy in there for you, Joe. I really liked it when she came up to him in the hallway, like, "Loudon, I love you," and he passes out, and she's like, "Oh, not quite the effect I was hoping for."
Yeah.
So got all that.
All right, so
I like the whole Vision Quest thing. A little bit of some deep things too. Like there's some deep issues that they discussed. It wasn't all fluff.
Right.
There's some interesting stuff going on too.
All right, so you guys
take us home, Joe.
All right, so I need you guys to help me pick my pick for next week.
Oh, geez, it is.
Yeah, so I'm going to have you pick between two. Do you want a movie starring Warren Beatty and Al Pacino, or a movie starring Burt Reynolds?
I'm not crazy about Warren Beatty, but I like Al Pacino.
Yeah, I was about to say I like Al Pacino.
But I know what movie that is. And then also, I like Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
There isn't really a bad Burt Reynolds movie.
I've seen a lot of Pacino, but not much Burt, so maybe we should go that way.
And I'm saying, if this is Stroke or Ace, I'm in.
No, it's not Stroke or Ace.
Car crashes, things on fire.
No.
The Dallas Cowboy player, Too Tall Jones, or whatever his name is.
No.
Stroke or Ace. That's got your favorite guy in it. Who's the guy that plays He's in the Army. Gomer Pyle. It's got Gomer Pyle in
Oh,
it.
it's got Gomer Pyle in it?
Yeah.
I've never seen Stroke Race.
It's got Lonnie Anderson.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got the guy from Deliverance.
Okay, I'll have to research that then.
So Stroke Race it is. All right.
No, not this round.
All right. Daggone it, Joe.
No. You almost have me convinced. Okay, so we're going Burt Reynolds or Warren Beatty and Al Pacino. You guys
That's my vote, Burt.
Burt. Okay, Dave.
Burt.
Okay, so then we're going to watch Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh, come on.
Really?
Joe. Look up Stroke Race and maybe see what you think.
Okay, but I'm not going to. Okay, so that may make the list, but for my pick, we're going Smokey and the Bandit.
You're allowed to change.
1977, Smokey
Yes.
and the Bandit.
And new feature that nobody knows about except for us three. After my turn, we're going to add a new turn of online submissions, and I have a nice little list, and there's some really good ones on there, guys. I'll send you the whole list of choices we have for online submissions.
All right. Sounds good. Okay.
All right.
By golly. All right. Good week. Vision Quest. If you haven't seen it, go out and see it. It's a very inspiring movie. Justin, take us home.
Oh, I'll pass it to Joe. I'm
sorry.
All right. Joe, take us home.
So for all of our reviews, visit our website at beentherewatchthat.com. Follow us on social media. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at BTWT Pod for all that. Send us your submissions. We would love your input on reviews. Like I said, we're going to start a new section after my next turn of online submissions. So send us that stuff, and we'll either praise you or throw you under the bus. It's your pick. And for our podcast, subscribe online to all those platforms. Been There, Watch That, hosted by Anchor.fm.
And I'm just going to point out real quick that I do have the highest rating in movie picks. So, yeah.
I'm going to start tallying that.
Tally it right up, buddy. Mop Bucket City over here. That's all I'm saying. If you go with Stroke Race, you too could have a mop bucket, Joe.
Now, wait a minute. I had a mop bucket with Peanut Butter Falcon.
Yeah, that's right.
That was true. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. Been There, Watch That. We'll be back next week. Thanks for tuning in. For myself, Joe, and Justin, we'll be back.